I would like to welcome you to a series that's on its breaking point of changing. And this video, which is the finale, is going to change everything. Without further ado, I would like to introduce you to the Unsolved Mystery of Ranboo season finale.
It's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be annoying still, but that's good. I understand.
Hello?
Oh. So you've come here to my panic room now. How did you do it? How did you do it? How did you find my book? How did you know?
Well...
Before Ranboo even joined the server, he was planning on running for president of Ranboo. As of outside of the server, writing down his goals, his policies, the new flag of Ranboo, presidential logs, and slogan. On a special day on November the 27th of 2020, halfway into his stream, he accidentally hacked into the server. Ranboo joined the Dream SMP. On day 2 of Ranboo's arrival on the server, he was toured around by the president of Ranboo. He mentioned that he was planning to run for the president of Ranboo as well. He then travelled to the Nether, which is where he found Michael. Tommy approached him, asking if Ranboo wanted to join him in robbing George's house. Not knowing what he did would cause an uproar on the server. After involuntarily burning the house down, they were approached by Nikki and Puffy. Ranboo was questioned, and then he realised that he couldn't remember what actually happened at the house, as Ranboo's memory faded away from not knowing what happened. Dream has built walls around Ranboo. The cause of it is blamed on Tommy. The mutant hall was then built by Ranboo and Tubbo, where Ranboo met with Dream. Ranboo was declared as the Minutemen. Although the meeting didn't go to plan, during Tommy's trial, Ranboo was asked if he participated in the accident, to which he said he couldn't remember. Tommy stood up for Ranboo. Ranboo realizing that writing things down helped him remember. He then wrote his first memory book. A question for sure, what was causing Ranboo's memory loss? Ranboo felt guilty after Tommy was exiled. He felt that he should have been exiled as well. Ranboo then lived in the Ranboo. He started writing letters to Tommy, trying to understand what he's going through. He always felt a burden on his shoulders. Quackly approached Ranboo one day, calling Technoblade a traitor, then asking Ranboo to join the Butcher army. The Butcher army found Techno and fought him. Ranboo decided to stay back and not participate in the fight too much. He only shot a few arrows. Techno survived an attempt execution, which was all Ranboo knew of him at the time. Filza had saved Ranboo from lava. They were on good terms. Filza was then put on house arrest. Ranboo and Ghostbur also got along well. Ghostbur took him to Techno's house. Upon arriving Techno's house, Ranboo was threatened by Techno and almost killed for his armor. To Ranboo's surprise, Tommy was hiding under Techno's house. Ranboo realized that he'd been betrayed by the Butcher army by giving Techno his armor back. At this point, Ranboo was on both sides. He then decided to drop both sides and stay neutral. There was a plan to kill Dream at the festival. After Dream's unexpected rebuild of the walls around Ranboo, he brought everyone to the blown up community house. Dream then teamed up with Techno and called Ranboo a traitor while holding the very first memory book. Days prior to this, Ranboo had lost his first memory book, where he found it in a chest, which he hadn't placed it himself. This is where Ranboo started to lose himself. Out of all the things I've lost, I miss my mind the most. Ranboo wanted to be alone with his thoughts, so he created a panic room. In the panic room, he realized while helping everyone, he unintentionally chose sides. He then made a promise to only choose people, not sides. Although he had his memory book on him, it had to be switched with another. All it contained was a smile, the smile indicating that he's a traitor. The new book became the second memory book. Dream said that Ranboo would be blown up, and Ranboo teamed with everyone else to save it. Ranboo was met with too much eye contact. He then lashed out at his friends. He went back to the panic room to recognize his thoughts of helping. He heard a voice, which seems to be him, but it wasn't. It was the voice of Dream. The voice told him that he betrayed everyone. Ranboo finally made the decision to help everyone, which he did. At this point, he was still missing the first memory book, which was given to Tubbo when Dream called Ranboo a traitor. It was doomsday. In the midst of all the chaos, Ranboo heard Techno ask about the memory book. He ran to him, determined to get his book back. He didn't know how to feel about Lemamberg being blown up. Considering Techno showed them mercy, he decided to watch from the sidelines. As a wise man once said, "Well, the darkness came, and then it went, and we built, and we watched it sank. And from the rubble emerged my great Lemamberg." Afterwards, Ranboo begins to panic. Phil asks him if he's okay. He was offered to live with Phil. He accepted. Ranboo then heard a diss from far away, the panic room. He went back to the room and heard the voice, which called him a traitor once again. The voice told Ranboo he's been helping Dream the whole time and that he has something to do with the blown up community house. Ranboo disregards the voice, saying it has no proof. The voice told Ranboo to mine a specific block, to which he saw a chest with 2 pieces of TNT. Later, he found out that Tommy and Tubbo are planning to get the disc back. He lives in solitude. He was finally happy, at peace. He went to the voice instead of it going to him, only for the voice to tell him that he has one of the discs. He was in denial, so he searched for the disc himself. He found the disc in a chest, under his own house, with a letter that has a smile written on it, which was gone the next day. He found out that he was sleepwalking, which was why he struggled to remember certain events. Ranboo didn't know he had a state, which was called the enderwalk. At this point, Tommy and Tubbo went to confront Dream. Dream was later imprisoned. Ranboo thought he would be safe. He named his sleepwalk the enderwalk. The prison is open for visitors. Ranboo decides to visit Dream, seeking closure. He visits Dream, and then it turns out that he's been previously meeting with him. Dream handles him his own memory book, and then the prison begins to crumble. Dream disappears. Ranboo visits again. He was determined to get full closure. Upon entering the prison, Sam questions him, asking him when was the last time he visited. Ranboo told him that it was his first time visiting, but Sam told him it wasn't, and showed him the book that he signed. Ranboo didn't know that it was his enderwalk going inside. The books were written in Ender, proving that the previous visitor occurred while Ranboo was in his enderwalk. Ranboo had the third memory book on him, but it was empty, which confused him. He knew that he must have had a fourth book. He doesn't know where the book is to this day. The fourth book wasn't a memory book. It was a book about the enderwalk. He started visiting Snowchester more often. He got married and decided to build a hotel, before he was told that Tommy died. One day, Nikki approached his home. He lived in with Techno and Phil. Ranboo was introduced to Anarchy. He then joined the syndicate, which contained Techno, Nikki, and Phil. Ranboo then found out that Tommy was alive. He found out that Dream had a revived book, which held against every member of the SMP. Ranboo teamed up with Tommy. They both wanted to stop Dream before he revives any of the villains of the Dream SMP. Ranboo is now trying to find a way to stop Dream, as well as the enderwalk. Ranboo is now trying to keep his enderwalk in containment. I've been trying to keep it in check, and that he's the one that's doing this. It's all because of him. Everything points to him. I just gotta do this. I have to. And then all of a sudden, Ranboo teleports into Michael's room in Snowchester, holding an axe. He shakes, switching to Apple, and talking to him happily. He goes to talk to Foolish, discussing the use of various rooms. Ranboo sees the bees in the rooms, switching to axe for a split second. Foolish mentions the other deal, Ranboo not remembering at all. He pretends to, continuing the tour. As Foolish talks, Enderman sounds grew louder, blurring Ranboo's vision. Words float around him. Ranboo changes the subject quickly, asking him to continue the tour later. Lesson 14. If you have the opportunity to gain a favor, take it. Ranboo leaves, Foolish saying to him to take some deep breaths. As soon as he's alone, he says he remembered something, asks him what it was, or what it meant. He asks what the deal he made, deciding it matters, saying he's okay. He says it has nothing to do with the experiments he has done. As he looks at the bee and Bob, the noises return, showing him another lesson. He says it's nothing, laughing but running away. He asks how many lessons are there, saying he's still in prison. There's no way. Ranboo says Sam told him that he's still in prison, asking him why now. Lesson 27. Do not reminisce on what you have lost, for it will weigh you down. He says that he needs to tell people what he's done, that they may hate him, but they will know. Another lesson, he wonders if he can trust anyone. He asks if he knows more than he thought, saying that he needs to block them out, like he's been doing the whole time. Lesson 53. Never fully trust anyone. He says that he didn't think this will be a side effect of the experiment. He repeats that he promises not to go there anymore, trying to get home, hearing another lesson. He asks what he did saying it's because he's hungry, trying to laugh it away. He says that he doesn't want this. Lesson 67. Leave no evidence of what you have helped with. Choking up, he says he screwed that all up again. He switches to what he's holding, saying he moved past everything, that he figured out how to stop it. It's fine, he says, as the lesson turns into a book page. He runs to the prison, saying it's the 4th book. Lesson 94. Don't let them know what you have done, being shown twice. He repeats that it was the 4th book, running towards the prison, talking about Sam, talking about the lessons. He finds Sam, saying that he needs to go inside the prison. Sam says no one's allowed to visit the prison. Ranboo says that he needs to go in, that Sam doesn't understand. Sam refuses, saying Ranboo told him not to let anyone in, saying Ranboo himself said not to let anyone in. Ranboo says that he doesn't want to see Dream, that he wants to be locked in the prison. Sam protests, not listening to Ranboo's pleas. He says that he can't tell him why, asking him to trust him. Ranboo yells at him, screaming at him to let him in. He says there are 93 reasons why he deserves it, that there might be more, but he couldn't know. Sam refuses, saying no one's allowed to go to prison with Dream. You don't need to go into prison. I can't tell you how wrong that is. When Sam mentions Tubbo and Michael, Ranboo says that's why he wants to go in there. As Ranboo leaves, he tells Sam that he has no idea what he has done. Sam tells him that he's a good person. Ranboo not believing him. Ranboo says that he can't go into the prison, then he needs answers. I have opened up the Pandora's box, and I don't know what to do. There's no way to close it. He goes to his home at Techno's. Right inside his book, he says that the one thing that can give him answers is himself. He throws war on himself and teleports as his vision goes black. Notice since Dream has been in prison, Ranboo hasn't did anything bad during his enderwalk in a while. Ranboo plans to move his lab equipment to the table, an area he has found last time. He grabs a book. He has it hidden, which he claims is his experiment log. He checks his mail, and has a mail from Foolish, of him telling his Enderman particles are left at his summer home. Ranboo says that he isn't even sure if Quacky's alive or not, and that he hasn't seen him in a while. He doesn't want to touch the table too much, or mess around with it, or alter it. He says that he needs to make a water tank, and the potions, and something else that he wants to be made from iron. He believes the experiments have a lot of pros. He's starting to use them as a way to stop the enderwalk. But then he realized what he could do, and it's incredible. He thinks if it goes well, it can get rid of his memory problems. He still doesn't understand what he does, but he doesn't think it's too bad anymore. He prefers to know and feel guilty than not to remember, and feel guilty for not remembering. He just wants to understand himself better. Since Dream has been in prison, Ranboo hasn't done anything bad during his enderwalk stay. Ranboo makes it to the table room and cleans up the area. He thinks after today, he might be able to remember everything. Ranboo heard that Endermen here cannot be damaged by arrows, and wants to experiment on that. He's doing these experiments because he believes there are unseen pros to the enderwalk. Ranboo thinks that the weird little table may be the key to breaking the wall on his abilities. He starts to doubt the experiments. He believes the enderwalk isn't a different version from him, and that it's still him, but it's him with all of his memories. He's unsure if he wants to keep living in a blissful ignorance, or does he want to know everything that has happened. He opens his experiment log, and the first pages read this. Translation: purpose of experimentation, to understand, to learn, to remember. He says that he tricked us because he thought he needed us for the experiments. He is still unsure what the solution is, and leaves the room, saying he will only use it for a last resort, or if something happens. So that's Ranboo's story for now. I hope that I covered everything I can for the Ranboo character as of right now. I hope you enjoyed this last episode of the season. It's been fun to make and watch the journey of it go into a concept to actually seeing everything come together. I hope this video can bring in a new era for the channel. I would love to thank everyone for watching and sharing. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much in this journey. All the hard work and the late nights really went into this. This ain't the end, this is just the beginning. You're here for a wild ride, but without further ado, it's time to roll the credits. Thank you for watching.